subscribe to my YouTube channel, so they're going to be able to hear us and listen to us. So we kind of get a look at that, I guess. All right, so we're good now. So everything should be where I see it. Good. All right. So starting over, this is your menu bar up top. All your tools are going to be on your left-hand side. Real quick though, just in case, we'll start this now. If you ever see a little black triangle in the corner of a tool, that means there are hidden tools underneath it. In order to see those tools, what you would do is click and hold, and they'll be right there.
Or you can right click. That helps. Sometimes
or you can right click, yes.
Sometimes you have issues with them opening.
Okay. Over here are going to be all your windows or panels. And again, like I was saying, yours might look different than your students. And for this course, for this little section we're going to be doing, the one you really want to have pulled up is going to be this layer panel. And in order to make sure the layer panel is up, we're going to go to the window. And you're going to make sure layers has a check mark to it.
That should be default setting.
Sometimes it might. That's what I'm just going to go over.
Right.
And what all these are just other windows and panels. Like here, if I click brush, it's going to open up a new window over here. There it is.
Another.
Go ahead. What?
The character one is
we don't even go over that.
Text.
Don't even go over text. Again, this is just the simple things. I mean, once you get a hang of this, and if you speed through this, you can always, learn more things. Like he did text in his class. I just did selection tools because it gets kids kind of excited about it. All right, so do you guys know what the Photoshop program pretty much is? Yes, no. It's basically, it's taking images and either altering them or fixing them. One of the things I do in my web page design class is I take a picture from the internet with like either a celebrity or a person who's got really bad acne, and we completely take the acne away. So it looks like the kid never had it in his life. Or red eye, you can take red eye out. You can change the color of eyes, color of hair. It's a pretty cool program. But what we show them here is you can cut out bodies, you can cut out heads, and you can like mix match them, which is kind of what they kind of like to do because they Google me and they take my head and put it on like a girl's body or something like that. It just gets them giggling funny. It's something cool that kind of just engages them and grabs their interest. All right. Right now, what you see here is basically it's nothing. You cannot work on a gray slate. So think of this kind of like your easel, something that will hold your canvas. All right. So the first thing you're going to kind of teach them is how to open up a document. And there's two ways. When we get into our other classes, we like to teach hotkeys, something that's quick and fast to do it. So I show them both first. You go to File, New, and it opens up this dialog box. All right. The other way to do it, the quick way, is Control-N, and it'll do the same thing. The best thing about the hotkeys is it's kind of the same as in all the other programs. Control-N is new, Control-O is open, and save, and so forth. We go over these options right here. The name, basically that's naming your document, but you'll be naming it when you save it. So I kind of just skip that part. Presets, just like in Word or anything like that, it gives you default presets of what you want to work with. Go to real quick. One that I go to is I just always start them off in US paper, 8.5 by 11. And then it'll do all the presets for you. Yeah.
Because then whatever you're producing, if you chose to print it, it's going to be in those dimensions.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Then it'll even say the letter size, the width in inches. Make sure they are in inches because sometimes you'll have a kid for some reason being pixels. And he'll be like, well, mine doesn't say 8.5, so he'll just do this. And you'll have 8.5 pixels, which is incredibly small on a resolution of 300 pixels per square inch. So just make sure they are in inches. And then we talk about resolution. I mean, I could probably talk a whole class period just because of the whole thing with, video game graphics and how the new ultra, 4K high definition TVs come out. Have you guys seen those yet? They're amazing. If you think high definition was great, wait till you see 4K TV. Have you seen one yet? Are you guys? Have you seen one? Come on, man. See, I get taken away on that. You go over resolution of pixels per square inch, and basically what a pixel is, how it's just a representation of a color, and then when you put all these colors together, it forms an image. All right. I don't really touch the RGB in this class that much, but you just want to make sure it's an RGB color mode, because sometimes it'll open up in grayscale. If it opens up in grayscale, they won't have any color. Even when they import images in, it'll turn up gray. So you want to make sure it just says RGB. The background, again, I don't really touch. You do in this, but I just leave it at white.
I encourage transparent because you can always add a background color. If you select white, it's going to be white. You can add a layer later with a white background. Just one. If you want to know what RGB is, red, green, blue, that is the color of an image. Then there's a CYMK, cyan, yellow, magenta, that is the color of the ink. So if you're making a t-shirt for a Seattle Seahawks who have the weirdest green, you could have a code.
Yeah, that's why.
And you send it to a printer, it would come out with that code. So two computers would see the same thing.
So again, recap important things. Preset, I just use paper. Make sure it says inches, RGB color, and just leave it as white. It'll always most likely be white. I've never had it where it just opened up as transparent. All right, so when they click OK, it'll show up like this. And now, even before I start showing them anything about Photoshop, I just tell them what just happened. First thing I tell them to notice is over here in the Layers panel, how a little tab or a thumbnail has shown. And then I go over about how Photoshop does layers. Every time you're going to add something into Photoshop, I bring up the analogy of kind of like a hamburger, where the first thing you put in is going to be on the bottom. And every time you add something, it's going to be placed on top of it, and on top of it, and on top of it. Then I tell them about this lock right here, which basically means you can't really alter. I mean, you can alter it, but it's very limited. I just tell them to get in the habit, every time you open up a new document, get in the habit of unlocking your background. And in order to unlock it, you just double click the little lock. It'll pop up this dialog. I don't tell them anything about this. All it is basically just name it and give it a color and all that. I just hit OK. Just tell them to double click and hit OK. And then it will change from background to layer 0. Are we all where I'm at? Ms. Benson?
Yes.
Awesome.
Good Lord.
You hope not what? Whatever. All right. Then what I've had. Let me see if I still have access to these. Yeah, I probably don't. Let me see if I can get in so I can view this. All right, so here we go. Then I get this right here, which will be an image. So now what we do is I'm going to basically start going through the 3 selection tools. All right, and the 3 selection tools are Quick Selection Tool. It's the 4th one down on your tools. Basically, they're broken apart. You've got this top section right here, which are going to kind of be selection tools and like cropping and moving tools. So like this right here is a selection tool. This is a selection tool. This is a selection tool. This is cropping. This is your color eyedropper. For your 4th one down, you should look like a paintbrush with a lasso around it. You guys have that?
If you have a magic wand.
Yeah, I'll get to it. And I tell my students, if you ever forget where a tool is at, if you take your mouse and hover over one of them, it'll pop up a little help thing. So it says lasso tool. Oh, there it is, the quick selection tool. If you hold down, notice there's a little black triangle. If you right click on it, it'll show you the Magic Wand tool, which is the first tool we're going to start off with, is the Magic Wand tool. I also shown that with each of these tools, the options for these tools are going to be underneath the menu bar. It'll be right here. So if you just tell them, just click these tools and notice how up here they all change. They all have different options. So like here with the Magic Wand, you got the tool for, you know, add to, subtract to, tolerance, and redefine images. Don't worry about these just yet. Okay, so have we all found the Magic Wand?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'll tell you right now, the Magic Wand you could probably take a whole day if you wanted to. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to open up this image that I put on there. It's going to be this image right here. And this is where I go into kind of the discussion between how to bring images into Photoshop. There's two ways. You can copy and paste it into Photoshop, or you can save as and open in Photoshop. They're eventually just going to most likely just do copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. But I try to train my students to always do save as, so you have an original document of the thing you're altering. So that you did a whole thing about file management, right? So they should know how to right click, save image as, and save it where they need to be. I'm just going to put them all on their desktop. And I'm pretty sure you guys know that when you save an image, you always want to have the biggest image of it. Don't file save as the thumbnail. You always want to go as far as you can to view the image as its full source. Alright, so basically we go over how to save the image, how to save the image, and then how to open the image. Again, you can go to File, Open, or I show them Control O, which will open up the dialog box to open one.
Do you want us to figure out an image?
Oh, use the one that I put on the dock, please. Which is under it says pull up and it says soccercorner.com.
I'm going to send off something also.
If you click it once, it'll pop up. Have a little thing underneath you can click and it'll pop it up. What's up, Brujewicz?
I said I have a activity that I use. It's real basic as far as the coloring, the transforming. And I have several different shoe designs and Nike, girls, apparel, stuff like that they color, stretch.
Is it with the Magic Wand?
Let's
Yes.
go with this for this, but can you share it?
But I will, absolutely. I will email it to you.
I have a picture of Deborah that she cut with the scissors. Yeah, we have a picture of that that they could take. And
Oh yeah, you can, once I show you how to use this tool, you'd be like, you know what? For my class, I want to use this.
well, I'm
and,
just
yeah.
saying it's another challenge.
Now, do you want me to do it as if they're my students?
Oh,
These guys want to
Yeah.
yell at them?
Yeah.
No.
No, or do you just want me to show them how to use the tool?
Just show them how to
Okay.
do it.
Sounds
we have
good.
the image up.
So you have this up, correct?
Yeah, but
Right click on it, save as.
okay.
You want us to open it into.
Yep, so you're going to right Control O, open.
Photoshop views all image formats.
It does, as far as I know, but you can't alter a GIF. So, like an image that has multiple images in it, as far as I know, it can't, because when it pulls up you know how you can unlock your layer? When you pull up a GIF, it's an index. Don't
Can you do
ask
it?
me. I can never, I'm going to get to that.
Do you care that it's 2 layers?
I'm going to get to, yeah, I'm going to show you, because there's kids that have problems with that as well. So once you open it, where the heck is mine at? I don't know what file it's saved as. Anybody remember what I saved it as? Oh, Magic Wand. Where's it at?
Okay.
Why am I about it? Oh, that's because I'm not on my desktop.
Oh, are you getting that? There?
What? No, I get it.
Alright, so when you guys opened up yours looked like this, correct? Like in separate windows. Now, this might have been something that came with CS5, which is kind of like docking. You know how all the Internet Explorers where you can open up a new tab, That's kind of what CS5 did. See if you can grab your window, and when you drag it close to underneath your options, see if it turns transparent and a blue line appears.
No. Do that again.
Mine doesn't. Can we move it over?
When you move it up. Because it,
That's what your air looks like. Because if your panels do it, I don't know why that would do it.
bring it up to here.
Up here?
Yeah, so CS3 doesn't do it, but your kids will be able to do it. And when you guys get it uploaded, it's nothing bad. You can work like that. It's just preference. I like the tabbed view. I'll work with it in your view so you guys know how to do it.
Can you minimize it?
Yeah, once you have it here, you just when you minimize them, it just goes down to. Why can't I see it? Should be down here.
Mine's actually within.
Yeah,
Photoshop.
it should be right here, right? Yours
That's
are down
mine,
here.
yes.
Yeah, I don't know why mine aren't showing up there.
Mine is- Oh, Ray doesn't like it.
Mine are locked here.
No, mine's not there. I minimized it. Mine-
Yeah, they're right there. Go back. Minimize this. Go to Photoshop. They're right there.
Oh, that wasn't there before. That wasn't there before.
Well, I think what happened is when you maximize it, it covers it up. So, if you want to, sorry.
Okay, I know.
Yeah, it's just like a normal window.
Yes.
There you go,
that's
and now
me
they're
too.
like that. All right, we good?
Okay. Do we want it maximized or do we want it?
It's up to you. I'll maximize it just like yours. Oh, not like that. That covers everything.
Can I add?
If you
So-
create the folder? Yeah, because
Can I
you share
add
it with
to
you.
this folder?
Yeah.
So yours looks like
It's just you
basically like
drag
that
it
right
in,
now, right?
Yes.
Open it
Okay,
up,
don't worry about my
drag it in.
tabs. I'll work like what yours looks like.
Okay.
All right, so again, once you open up an image, it's going to be locked. So again, you're always going to want to get in the habit of unlocking your background. So then it turns to layer 0. All right, and then what I basically tell my students is I tell them where the magic wand is,
No, I want to.
and then I tell them to just start clicking around. So what is your tolerance set at the top here?
32.
32? Okay.
It
So-
went
You should be able
to
to.
layer 0 because you unlocked it so it like sunk down to the bottom.
Even if it was background, it would still say. All background is its default when it comes in. It says background. It's layer 0. It's locked.
Okay.
When you unlock it, yeah, it's because you didn't rename it.
Okay.
When you open up an image, I tell them take the magic wand, just click around and ask them what is it doing. Just what is it doing? And they're gonna be like, well, what are these dancing ants? And just ask around because one kid's gonna eventually formulate that. Well, it's outlining stuff. And like, oh, well, what is it outlining? All right. Then what I do, if nothing's going on, they're saying, well, it's outlining, the same color stuff. I'd be like, all right,
Yeah, great.
go up to this tolerance, and I want you to change it to 100. Now click around. Did it do anything different? And they're going to be like, well, when I click the blue, it selects all the blue. I was like, okay. Then I tell them to change the tolerance down to 1. And I ask them, what does that do? They're like, well, now it's only selecting a little bit.
Mine is selecting the entire thing, regardless if I do one or one.
Yeah, mine should,
It's selecting the whole thing.
no, well, it's
As if I
all
can
the
move.
colors, not the blue.
It's
Oh.
contiguous.
You're in the list, right?
So,
When I went to 1, it got nothing.
yeah, so there you go.
Oh,
There's one.
So it's 1.
I change it to 100.
Switch to grid.
This is showing what happens at 100.
Okay, so click 100. Now let's change it to 1. So do you see how it's selected all of it there? All the blue?
Just click once.
Yep. Now change it to 1.
see, mine chooses
So
everything,
we want to drag it together.
I'll
That's
just delete
what
this.
Yeah.
I'm
Start
doing
over.
too.
No.
but not just the blue.
So what's going on?
Takes everything out of the blue.
Yeah.
Move to.
Which is the same thing as the
All right, if you let go, if you remove, just hit Control Alt Z. Control Alt Z is undo. All right, so basically, what I'm trying to show them is that this tool is going to select colors and hues of that color based on tolerance. And what I say is, the lower the tolerance, the more picky it's going to be. So notice if I'm at 1, the program Photoshop realizes, I don't know why I'm getting up. The program Photoshop realizes that. I'll even zoom in for you to see. Photoshop is like, all right, this blue in here is all kind of the same, but it's different than the blue around it because Photoshop's being picky. If I change this to 32 and I click here, now it's saying, all right, all this blue is kind of, I'm going to accept it because I'm going to tolerate a little bit more, but I'm still not going to say that that blue is the same as this blue down here.
And you can relate that to
Parents. If you have really easygoing parents, they're going to accept a lot of stuff you do, as opposed to if you have really strict parents, like a level 1 parent, yeah, they're not going to.
So all of this shading, like
Yeah, it's a
your
different
image
hue.
Right, your image is so large. Like on my screen, I definitely see like some shadows and some glossiness. So it's going to ignore that. And
Based on tolerance.
It's going to look for that blue.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
if your tolerance is way high, it's going to be like, you know what, I'll accept this hue of blue, this hue of blue, but that black is so far different than my blue, I'm not going to accept that.
Okay.
So then I start saying, all right, well, why, if I want to select something, what would I use the magic wand to select? And they're going to be like, well, what do you mean? Well, all right, say I just want this soccer ball and only the soccer ball. I don't even want this white background. What could I do? And you'll eventually have, okay, well, let's click the white background. So if I click the white background, even if you're on a, what's it called, a tolerance of 1, it's going to select that white background because it's all the same. If you take that white background and select it and hit delete, you're going to have that ball now by itself. All right, and then so what we start doing is I just show them, so this magic wand is good for deleting backgrounds that are simple, 1 color, 1 hue, not a lot of like different, and you're going to see these different images that we go through today. So you're going to use the magic wand, and I always say to delete backgrounds of 1 color, or that are close in shades. All right, then I go into, you're like, well, these dancing ants are all around, or they might do this. They might click and accidentally delete. What? Now I got to start all over. You teach them undo, which is Control Alt Z. It's technically Control Z, but that only allows you to go back 1 mistake. Control Alt Z allows you to go back, I believe, up to 20. So I just don't even do Control Z. I say Control Alt Z. Then they're like, well, how do I get these dancing ants around? I don't understand what's going on. Basically, what is inside these dancing, I call them dancing ants, it's your selection area. That is what you can and cannot edit. So what I do now is I basically tell them, hit deselect, which is Control D. By hitting Control D, the dancing ants will go away. You now have your image that you can move or alter.
You're going to use the control key. Accessible.
Okay, so are we all here with a, basically, you see that checkerboard? That means transparent now, like what he was talking about.
Control D. So
Yes. So we've gone over Control N for new, Control O for open, Control Alt Delete for undo, and Control D for deselect.
Control Alt.
Yes.
Yeah, for the second undo. Get up to 20.
Don't even teach them Control Z.
If you go to edit, you just go to edit fill. And at the bottom, it says keyboard shortcuts. There's your little cheat sheet.
Oh.
See, I didn't even know that.
Control N, there's your cheat sheet if kids want to locate information.
They can create their own too, I've noticed that.
And those are editable, however, computer software will change.
Where did you
If you go to edit, keyboard shortcuts.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so now, and it's going to be different with yours as it is with mine. I show my kids this is how you move one image to another, or from one document to another document. All right, you teach them this move tool, which is the first tool, and all they do is click, and you can move the image. Now, if they have something selected, you'll move just the selected. Like I said, if it's selected, you can only edit what is selected. So that's why Control D is kind of important. So with this move tool, this is how they're going to do it in CS5 if they're using the tab function. I'll show both functions. You grab the move tool, and they're going to mess up about 2 or 3 times before they get it. You got to click, hold, and you're going to drag it up to this tab still while holding. It's going to flip over to the other document, and you're still holding, and you're going to drop it. I'll do it again. I know yours is different, but they're going to click, hold, drag, and drop. On yours, you need to open up both windows, and I believe it's just click, drag, over to the other side. Right? Awesome.
It's like this.
Yeah, that's because of the pixels.
Okay.
It's, the resolution's 300, while this image we gathered is 72, because
So
it
we're
came from
gonna
the
take
internet.
this and drag it over to,
Your other document right here.
okay.
And that's similar to like file management too, when you're copying and pasting. You can copy, drag and drop through the folder hierarchy and
All right, now this is kind of where I keep talking about that hamburger style thing of layers. I go, all right, once you've dragged it in, I want you guys to notice that in your layers panel, it has added a new layer. And I go, it's kind of like a hamburger. You had your background, which is white, and then you put something on top of it. And I go, if I put something on top of something, can you see underneath it? Well, no. I say that because some kids might accidentally do this. If you look at my layers, they're like, well, where's my ball at? Well, I just dragged it over. Then they're gonna keep doing this and then they're like, why is this happening, Mr. Wysick? What's going on? And you'll come over and you'll see all these layers. And I'm like, well, you've got your bun over your lettuce and tomatoes right there. So then I kind of show them that these layers are movable. You can click them and drag them in any order that you'd like.
I'm gonna stop you for 1 second. So my soccer ball is still in that mode where it can be moved.
What do you mean in the mode that can be moved?
The
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah. Over here, once you start adding layers, the active layer is the layer that's blue. So, if my white layer is active, I'm only going to be able to move, if you look at my screen, that white piece of paper. So, if I want to move that soccer ball, I have to make that layer active. And it doesn't matter where I'm clicking. Look, if I click down here, I'm still moving that soccer ball.
So how do you deselect that? I did Control D trying to deselect
Oh.
it, and I tried to unclick it. And
Only deselect works when you have those dancing ants. That's
Okay.
deselecting an area.
Okay.
What do you mean deselect? Like you don't want to edit it?
Well, because right now it's able to be moved.
Mm-hmm.
When I click on the move
Tool.
icon over there, the
Yeah.
tool, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't like deactivate that.
You're always going to have a layer that's active.
Okay.
So I mean, like,
Because
because
the move is the one specifically I'm saying. So until I select something else, that's just where it's at. There is no like resting mode where it's doing nothing.
if you want it so you can't do anything to it, like remember how in the beginning we always lock something?
Yes.
All right, we unlock something. You can lock a layer and then it's like stuck.
Okay.
So like right here, you see this lock?
Yes.
If you click that, now I can't do it. See, you could not complete your request because the layer is locked.
Okay.
Is that kind of what you're asking?
but you're still have the move tool activated. There is
Right.
no rest.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So if
until-
you
yeah.
click something else, you're in move mode.
Yes.
Okay.
Until you select another tool. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Then what I would do from here is I'd tell the students to go on the internet and find an image that would be, appropriate to delete the background with the magic wand. And kids will always they'll find an image with a white background, which is correct. But then you could say, find one without a white background. That would be easy. Then they'll find one. Then you ask them, all right, we'll bring it into Photoshop. Delete the background, move your object to the the one where the soccer ball is at. So if you guys want to find an image without a white background and move it over. So I usually just ask somebody for something. I think we did Elmo.
And if you do animation characters, you can have better backgrounds with it.
If you do what?
If you do like cartoon characters, like Mickey Mouse or Homer Simpson, they always have the easiest backgrounds to pull out. But if you do like Matt Forte for the Bears, it is a extreme pain to get the background out because he has the same color as the stands in the background.
We're gonna, that's the next one. So here, I just save the image, desktop, Elmo, Control O. That passing?
You wanna do white background?
All right, now, one thing I didn't show you but can be helpful, especially when you ask them to find one without a white background, is if I click, I might not get all that blue, or you might click and not get all of it. This option right here, like right here, this is a single click one. So every time I click, it's going to find a new selection. It's not going to add to it. If I click this option right here, which is add to selection, it's going to start adding to the selection. So now I'm selecting more and more and more. So if the background doesn't take one click, it takes two, then they'll be able to see down here I've got some of the background. I click in there, I click there. Oops, out.
Yeah.
Rookie mistake, unlock your background.
You get a tough picture too with all that.
Boom. But it gets the point across that it doesn't necessarily have to be white. It's
Okay.
all the same color.
Also, are you aware
So
of
you're
this?
deleting it?
You're going to delete the background, and then that adds another layer of flavor to it, like a magazine cover or cereal box and stuff like that.
And this tool can be used to not necessarily just delete backgrounds. Like you can, if I do this, you can take your magic wand and select just the Elmo and move him over if you want. But you see, it's a lot of clicking. Like I could select just Elmo and move him over. But the magic wand is so much easier just for simple backgrounds. You want, hey, all this is blue. Click, delete.
Now, can't you do the where you collect that? Yeah, I know that's easy. Can you do where you switch it?
Yeah,
Like
it's like,
Control I
yeah.
or something
Well,
like that?
you right click and select inverse.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
I don't show them that. Like some kids in my class pick that up
Figure it
on their
out
own.
real quick. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm missing, okay, so.
So that way, if
Yeah,
you wanted
that's-
just Elmo, you could do it very quickly.
You
Yes.
can take
Okay.
Elmo out, just use the background.
Okay.
Okay.
So now what happened is because there's a black, you see how it goes from gray to black, gray to yellow?
You would use
Um,
that.
You'd have to
So
click,
you wanted to move
and
Elmo
then-
to a different one.
either delete and make a new
Yeah.
selection,
Elmo,
or hold
Yeah.
shift and click there.
and then drag it over, copy it.
That's why I wanted you to have a mouse. Oh, you gotta be on your magic wand.
You're gonna have kids saying it's not working, it won't do it, and then you look over at the layer, or on the
So now
wrong
you have all
layer,
your gray selected.
or they inserted a
But
text
if you
layer.
try to delete
It
it,
will not do it.
it's gonna do this mirror thing. You wanna go ahead and unlock your layer.
Or the selection tool has been added, and it won't, it only does,
Now,
Now,
it will only color the
move them over.
selection part of it.
use Control Alt.
Control D.
Control D.
You generally won't use the Alt unless you're doing two undos.
Okay,
You want
so
to add selection, you know, if you just hit Shift, it adds also. You don't go down.
all right, so we got our guy, and you know, this is kind of like your formative, where you're just walking around, seeing the image they selected. Then can they delete the background, and then can they move them over from one
It only took
to the
him in
other?
black and white. It didn't take him in color, right?
What's up?
I went to him. Right?
Oh, because you see how you use the magic wand again. There you go. Now I'll try. Click and try. Because you just selected the background. That's why. Now you added two layers. You added that layer and that layer. Every time you drag something over, it's going to create a new layer. All right, now I'm going to answer your question. You're like, what layer is what layer? What's a quick way to figure out what's on each layer? If you see these eyeballs over here, that means if they're open, that layer is visible, it's showing. If you click the eyeball real quick, it'll just be a real quick check of what is on each layer. So if I want to delete this layer here, right click, delete, or drag it down to the garbage can. So you should have 3 layers. And again, just like a hamburger, you place it over the thing, you're not going to be able to see it. So that's real quick magic wand.
I got an activity for you.
Selects colors in use based off tolerance.
Yeah. So you're doing t-shirts and you look at an orange or a blue or a red and black, I can just turn off my eyeball and see how that logo looks on different colors. That's how I use it.
That's nice.
Those are, I got a shoe activity I just emailed you also that has Nike shoe, high heels, so every kid has some kind of idea. The Nike, the kids love doing those. And it's emails to you.
Rick does that, John does that.
John does that, yeah. It
So,
really gets their
so we have to
attention.
watch with doing some of that because
I have been.
That's what I was telling him. I'm like, stop showing them all this stuff. Just get them excited, and I'll teach the rest.
Yeah, I'm excited. So then I got typing for a little keyboarding, and then once you get done with it the right way, then you can move on to the fun stuff.
This is all being recorded.
Again, dude, I had to remind him one time it was bad. All right, so that's the magic wand. Do you guys have any quick questions on it?
How many days of instruction to get to this point?
This magic wand, like I said,
Everything
Before
that
you
we
get to
just
this?
did, everything we just did, how many days of instruction?
I'll tell you what, showing them the interface and just having them play around with that magic wand will probably take a day. The second day might be a review of the magic wand and then having them find an image themselves and cutting it out and bringing it home.
So right now we're on
Maybe.
day 3, maybe
You're probably
4.
going into day 2, going into day 3 after this.
Okay.
Yeah. And trust me, when you get to the pen tool, they don't like the pen tool because it makes them work a lot harder than this and that. All right, so that's the magic wand. Then we go to another selection tool. So the next day, it's kind of the same process. You have them play around with it first, figure out what's going, see if they can, formulate their own definition of it. How's it different than the magic wand? So I just show them where it's at. I go, it's the magic wand. And you can even do that. You can have them explore and be like, all right, get the quick selection tool. Well, where's that? Find it then. But it's underneath the magic wand. It looks like a paintbrush with a lasso. All right.
So how the magic wand is different than what?
How does the quick selection tool select things different than the magic wand? So then I believe I have another. Just want to make sure it's still working. I've got another image underneath here, which should be that. Oh, that's my girl, Alex Morgan.
Are you cheating on Hermione?
Did I do that sometimes? Right, and this picture again, I bring it in, I save image as desktop. Then I save it as DL.
Why don't you copy paste?
Hmm?
Why don't you copy
I just
paste?
get them in the habit of always having an original. So if they ever alter it, and I'm like, all right, show me the original image, they can show it to me. Yeah, they can copy paste, right click, copy, paste it in. But I just have them working with it.
So we're making a new file now, or?
No, you have them save it and always pull this up every day. They're just going to make a collage of them all.
So then you unlock it,
Always unlock your layer.
Yeah, otherwise you can't.
and then do you want us to drag it into?
Well, what I tell them is, all right, I want Alex Morgan. Even before that, I go, all right, mess around with this tool because they know what Control D does, right? Deselect, so they can just click around. Whoops. And be like, all right, well, what's going on? Why is it just like that? Why is it grabbing so much? These aren't the same colors. What's going on? Why is it stopping here? Why did it bleed into here? Why is it adding 2? So I have them just try to come up with a definition of what is it selecting. And basically, what this quick selection tool does is it's going to select things and stop when there's a definite change of color or a solid line or edge. All right. So like if you notice, if I start clicking inside this impact, it stops right here at that logo because the selection tool notices this background is different than this brick.
So it's a pretty high tolerance.
Yes,
It's
yes,
default
yes.
design.
And my rule of thumb that I tell them is this is good for pictures that have something in focus. Because when you have something in focus and the background is blurry, there's defined edges there. All right? So like if I start clicking, around, it stops at her hair. I'm like, oh, well, it selected some of her back hair. That's because this white and this background's kind of close together. Now, if you take your magic wand, and I show them this too, this is going to take a while to grab it because everything. Because this right now, impact is not selected. Down here is not selected. This is so many clicks. You see all these things here? There's little pixels in there that are not selected. So by using this, I can click and drag, and I've got this whole top selected. Now you're like, well, what about this? Why, when I delete that, I'm deleting part of her? Then I go ahead and show them by holding down Alt. I'll zoom in so you guys can see. By holding down Alt, you can take away from the selection. If you notice my cursor here turns to a minus, and I click, it will start redefining. This is where it gets a little bit more picky, where it'll start being a little bit more in your control.
How did you make it the minus?
Alt.
You went up to the top.
No, the Alt key. You can go up to the top.
Hold it down.
The option is here.
Alt subtracts, shift adds.
Okay. No, I saw those tools at the top
Yeah.
when you hovered over there.
But if you click the minus, it won't, like, right now the default is the plus sign. If you click the minus, it's going to stay as minus. So I just learned the short key of Alt. Now, with this, the bigger the brush, which is going to select, obviously, a bigger size. But if you want, like, if I wanted to refix her here, like include that hair, I'm going to bring my brush smaller. I'll show you how to do that in a second. That way I can zoom in and I can start including her hair in this. Now, the hotkeys for this with the brush, and I show both ways, actually I only show the hotkey, is next to the P, there are brackets. So if you look at your P key, there are those curvy brackets. That will make them bigger and smaller. Or Dina, if you right click, oops, sorry. Oh, it's because I have a selection. If you, maybe not. I thought it brought up your brush sizes. But your brush size is up here if you didn't want to.
And why do I want to do this?
See a circle.
P,
If you go to the
say that again, P is what, or next?
No, next to the P, those brackets
Yeah.
are changing the size of your brush.
Okay.
Oops. These are your selection tools. These are editing tools. These are shapes.
But I want to figure out something that takes out everything that I'm on.
Okay, so you're making that
Bigger
bigger.
and
So what are we
smaller.
gonna do? What are we gonna select or delete? What are we
All right,
gonna
now here's the thing. This tool, you can either delete the background or you can select your object and move it in. So like, yeah, you can do this. You can delete that background, go over here. I grab your eyeball,
So use it.
delete that, and now I've got Alex Morgan. Or,
Oh, I didn't see that.
because some kids might be like, you know what? Yeah, she's different than the outside. I can actually select her. And just move her over. So either way will work.
Yeah, I know.
Rujewitz, train them to say that.
I
I
see
don't
that
get the
Rujewitz?
select.
my network
Rujewitz?
drive is clogged.
Rujewitz?
I don't have any more room on my network.
Rujewitz. That's why you get a flash drive, buddy. That's why in our class they get flash drives. So again, in this case, the main definition is it's going to select things, all the way up to a defined edge or a different color that's so dramatic. Like, so this is good for if there's a blurry image in the background and something to focus on. So any type of action shot that you normally find on the internet here, whatever that was actually really good. So like, if you look,
Supposed to be select, right?
No, control V select.
so like this one would be a good one because notice how he stands out from that background. But do you see how there's multiple colors in the background that if you use the magic wand, it's going to take multiple clicks to get?
Yes.
So this would be a perfect one for the quick selection tool to take. Or you could even use the quick selection tool on him and move him over. Same thing here.
But I want to add.
And
that
here.
one, so that it's shift alt or just alt?
For what?
I want to add some stuff down there.
Add stuff, you just click. Alt takes away.
Oh, okay.
Alt takes away, clicking adds. So then in this case, we go through, and you can show them both ways if you want. You can show them deleting the background with it, and I'm going to do it real quick.
This is why I want to play with this.
And you know, I did it real quick. Obviously, it's not the greatest cutout.
Yeah, we lost our eye.
I did. That's because I did it real quick. And then if you want,
Oh, patch over that.
you can show them how using this. You can select that's her and moving her over. And it's the same thing.
Okay, so is that where you want us to be so that we're all on the same page?
Yeah, well,
Sure.
yes. And then I ask him the same. In this one, you say find an image that would be perfect to use the magic wand, not the magic wand, quick selection tool for.
So like sideline sports photos are good because you can almost.
When there's a focused object.
Okay.
Or something that has defined edges.
Okay.
So like even if you had something, like even though it's not focused, let me see if I can. Like even if I had this,
Yeah.
I could use the quick selection tool to probably grab him. Though he's not the only one in focus, there's edges like between this.
Yeah.
This will definitely bleed in though,
Okay.
if you use that because of the white on white. But you could use this for the quick selection tool as well.
Okay.
I mean, all these tools, like when I go over
That's
I got you.
okay.
When I go over like one of my formative assessments, like this thing right here, which tool to use, and I'll explain how I do this as well. There's multiple answers. There's no right answer to which selection tool is the best one. It's going to basically come to which tool a kid feels comfortable with which image. You know, what I think would be easy for the quick selection tool, he might be like, I'd rather use the pen tool because I can be more accurate. And I'll be like, oh, okay, if this were to ever open here. So here we go, I got this, which tool to use?
Got it.
And I'm like, I just want this golf ball. And the kid's going to be like, well, I'm going to use the magic wand. It's all white. I'm just going to click until I get that golf ball. Other people are going to be like, I'm going to use the quick selection tool and highlight all this stuff and delete it. Same thing here. Well, this is in focus. I'm going to use, the quick selection tool to delete this. One kid's going to go, I'm going to use the pen tool and outline the golf club. So the best thing about it is there's really no right or wrong answer. What you're looking for is can they defend their answer. All right, and that's where you want to break?
Yeah, let's break.
Do you guys want to say goodbye to the Google Hangout?
Bye, Google Hangout.